welcome to my review of Super Mario Bros. Crossover, and this is a PC Flash game. And for this game, it's pretty much the original layout of the Super Mario Bros. Original game for NES, but you can choose between all these different characters you see here from previous NES games. So you got Simon Belmont, Samus, Bill from Contra, Mega Man, and all these different characters. So it really does add a lot to the gameplay as far as different ways to approach the stages, which is very cool because they all have all their original moves and maybe some extras. I mainly played as this Bill character from Contra, since you can pretty much just shoot everything. Yeah, it makes the game a lot fucking easier because you can pretty much just kill everything with a gun. So it's definitely an easy way to get that kill. I believe the warps are still in place too from the original game, if I remember right. So getting the mushroom, in the original game makes you large, obviously, but in this it will power up each one of the characters, and they all have specific power-ups that they get. And I believe getting the Fire Flower with Bill Riser will give you the spread shot, which really destroys shit. So now I'll show the final few stages of the game, since you definitely get the idea by now. It's pretty much the exact same layout as the original Super Mario Brothers, but it lets you use all these different characters. That's really all it is. But it actually works really well, and it's definitely one of the better Flash games that I played. As I said, there's really not much added to it as far as the layouts are pretty much the same. And it's really just the ability to play the game with all these different characters is mainly what it is. So it doesn't add a hell of a lot, but just being able to play as different characters is a big change. And even as the Bill Riser character, I think you might be able to jump on the enemy to kill them, but I'm not sure. It may actually strip that. I haven't played in a while. Yeah, it looks like you still can. So you got the guns and you can still jump on enemies too. So, it's really, really helpful. Mega Man has the best jumping as far as all the characters offered in the game. So for platforming, Mega Man is very easy to control and land on platforms. So, there is the advantage to that. So Mega Man's another good character, but I found this character to be the best. It made it the easiest for me. There's also, in this game, which I discovered kind of late, you can pretty much save anywhere. So you can make this game as easy as you want by making saves in the middle of the stages and just reloading. So that's up to you how you want to play. But if you play the game normally without doing that, you'll be sent back, I believe, to the beginning of the last world you got to when you lose all your lives. But you have unlimited continues. If you lose just one life, I think you might start at a stage checkpoint or at the beginning of that stage. But I think if you lose all lives, you get sent back to the beginning of the world. So it is pretty challenging if you play it without exploiting the saves. But if you want to use the saves, you can, even just make a save at the beginning of each stage. That way you don't have to start the world from the beginning. You can do that too, and that's a little bit more legit. Instead of just saving mid-stage and constantly reloading. But you do have the option. But you can see just having a gun makes these guys much easier to deal with. You can just sit back and shoot them pretty much. But there's also the option to make the game more challenging by playing with some of the shittier characters if you want to do that. You can play as Simon Belmont, who has a whip and seems pretty shitty for the layout of this game. So you could always do that as kind of a challenge if you want to make the game harder. So there's some options for different types of runs. I think if you're looking to just beat the game, I found this character to be the easiest to use. His jumping is kind of narrow. That's the one downside, is his jumps are not great for the way the platforms are laid out in this game, but it's not too much of a problem. And see, with the spread shot, you really just dominate shit. Once you have that Fire Flower, if you can keep that with this character, you can pretty much just destroy the entire game. Of course, the original Super Mario Brothers is definitely, a classic game. So this retains that layout. Though, if you do decide to play as Mario, it kind of misses the point, as you should just play the original game, because Mario doesn't seem to control as well in this version as he does in the original game, from what I remember. So I think at that point, you might as well just play the original game and play as Mario that way. The main draw of this game is to be able to play as the other characters. And you get a nice little selection, as you can see here. So between each little stage, you get to select what character you want to use going in. And you can make saves anywhere, like I said. Near the end, I started making saves at the beginning of the stages to just shorten my playtime of the game. Since it is legit, the game will actually let you, save wherever you want. But I didn't want to save mid-stage. I thought that was a little too cheap. But yeah, definitely one of the better Flash games. So while it does have the classic layout of the original Super Mario Brothers, it doesn't really fit. You know what I mean? It's not really designed around the way the characters operate and move, so it doesn't exactly fit perfectly with the actual layouts of the stages, the way the characters play. Since each one plays quite differently with their jump distance and various different things. So it's really not designed around that. It's really all they really did was they took the layout of the original Super Mario Brothers and just, slopped in these characters. Just a sloppy placement of the characters, basically. I mean, they did think about what kind of power-ups to give the characters and things like that, but it's pretty much based on the way they would power up in the original games. So, it's very low effort as far as that goes. It's not tailored around the characters at all. But that's part of what makes it kind of cool is that, these characters are not really designed for this layout. So it makes it kind of interesting to try to play through the levels with these characters. So I think that's basically the idea. Though you see, Bill Reiser has a huge jump in the water, which doesn't seem to be really thought out because you can't do a short jump with him when you're in the water. You should be able to do a shorter jump. So there's oversights like that. Obviously, like I said, the game was not designed around, this layout was not designed around the way these characters behave. So, it's not going to be streamlined. But like I said, I think that is part of the charm of it because it makes it kind of interesting to try these old stage layouts with characters that weren't designed for this game. So that's kind of the appeal. But of course, it's not going to be as polished as a game, like Donkey Kong Country or Super Mario Brothers 3, games that were designed purely around that layout for the way the characters behave. This is not that kind of experience, but I think that's not what you're really looking for if you download this. The idea is really to be able to play through the old layouts with these characters, and I think it does that very well. It's pretty much exactly what you'd expect for a game that does that. And I'd give it a 7 out of 10 just because it's not optimal gameplay, like I said, for the characters, but it's still a lot of fun. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching.